This time, a Colombian-born sex offender who committed a vile act in front of a teenager, then breached his bail, trying to convince her not to give evidence against him, and he's now been deemed as eligible to stay in Australia. The Administrative Appeals Tribunal found that the ban could stay because it would be in the best interests of his 11-year-old daughter. Now, this all goes back to Labor's revamped Direction number 110. But I tell you what, Keith, I mean, if you think you're going to get deported, hurry up and get yourself an Australian woman who'll give you a child, and then you just drag out the case as long as you can and use the child as cover to stay.
Peter, as you know, this is not how it's supposed to be. And the AAT, I feel a bit sorry for the people in the AAT because they'll be following that direction to the letter of the law because that's what they have to do. But since when, why is it that the offender always gets the benefit? Why is it the people who commit these crimes are the ones that get the advantage? What about their victims? What about the poor people in this country who are already here, who are citizens, who are born here? Why is it their fault? Why should they be put at risk? Well, these are decisions of the Labor government. We saw the hapless Minister Giles, and here's another example.
Let's go up to Brisbane, Gary. The AFL fans being very angry about a divisive welcome to country that took place on Saturday night. Have a listen.
A welcome to country is not a ceremony that we've invented to cater for white people. It's a ceremony we've been doing for 250,000 years plus BC. And the BC stands for before Cook.
Collingwood Premiership captain Tony Shaw called out the AFL as a weak, politically correct organisation, pointing out that while the Port Adelaide coach was hit with a $20,000 fine for a verbal attack on a Hawthorn player, there's been no action, he says, on the divisive and embarrassing ceremony. I tell you what, Gary, I'm bloody sick of being lectured to about my own country.
Yeah, and I'll take a lead from Jacinta Napajipa-Price, who said, I don't need to be welcome to my own country. This thing was just cooked up by a comedian like about 30 years ago. There's no 250,000 years. Where does he get that from? He's just making stuff up. But the divisive aspect of this, Tony Shaw is right. You should abandon this. It was a lot simpler when there was one flag, one anthem, and we're all Australians, no matter what our backgrounds, no matter what our beliefs. I mean, I'm waiting for the Prime Minister to start putting a pride flag behind him, along with the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flag. One flag, one country, one anthem, and we're all in this together. We can all have our own beliefs, Peter. We can all cheer on whatever team we like. But you start with a divisive thing like this. This bloke should never be invited back again by the AFL. They have to account to the fans for this, and I'm one of them.
$131 billion. This is our resources pipeline under threat because of red tape, lawfare, and unproductive IR policies. That's how we pay our way in the world, isn't it, Keith? That's how we pay for the NDIS and for our military hardware and all the other things like our pensions. But we're squandering that because Labor's so weak. It appeases to the Greens all the time. It cares about the inner city vote rather than the budget bottom line.
Yeah. Peter, for the resources sector under the Labor government, no matter how bad it is, it can always get worse, and it looks like it will. $131 billion is a lot of investment. It's a lot of jobs. It's a lot of opportunities. And yet, no matter what happens, we see decisions like the gold mine under Tanya Plibersek, gone. Now they're looking at the Beetaloo Basin again, trying to knock it over. They are just worried about green preferences in the city. They don't care about jobs. And when it comes to climate, Peter, under this government, emissions are up. And not only that, we hear reports today that we're getting diesel generators to run projects in Queensland. Who knew?